as I'm on this journey and analyzing all of you out there walking around New York City with a fancy coffee latte. It's the system doesn't want us to succeed. It's someone else's fault, not me. No.
Quick disclaimer, this video is not about anyone who is disabled, has any kind of disease or illness that prevents them from working or from working as hard as they should or could if they didn't have an ailment. This video is not about anyone who can't afford to go to work because they have to care for children, because they have no other external help. Trust me, I know how it is. This video is addressed to people like me who are able-bodied, who are healthy, can work, and actually work and make money but spend like they live in a parliament. That's all I want to say. Let's get going.
So I want to talk about something that if I heard someone else tell me only a few months ago, I would be very pissed. I would be probably offended, and I would think that they're preaching to me or just trying to convince me of things that they cannot convince me of because it's BS, because what do they know about how I live? Or I would just, if anything, see it as an attempt to preach. And I don't like that. I think none of us like that. But it's a conversation that I think needs to be held because it kind of seeps into many other aspects of our life. And I'll try to explain, and I have the tendency to kind of digress. And I apologize about that, but bear with me. So a few months ago, I started looking into my finances and I realized that they're a mess. I realized that I have zero financial knowledge. I realized that I overspend. I realized that everything I purchase and every time I overspend, which was 99% of the time, I have excuses for it. Every purchase I made, I realized that I had a valid excuse for why I made it. And deep inside and on the surface, I knew that I'm going just deeper and deeper into debt, but I didn't kind of almost care. I somehow normalized it so much that no common sense and logic would prevent me from just going deeper into the mess. However, now that I've been budgeting and clearing my finances, and call it whatever you want. I know the word budgeting is triggering for a lot of people. It certainly was for me not that long ago, because I thought everyone who budgets is just a snob and a know-it-all, and I had all the words ready for those people. And I realize now that I had those names for those people because they triggered something in me. They pushed a button that woke up something in me that was broken, that was hurt, that was injured, that was in need of healing. And that is my lack of order in my finances. By any means, I'm not a money-driven, money-oriented, money-hungry human. I'm more of a spiritual creature. I'm into the arts. I'm into the sensible part of the existence, whatever. Call it whatever you want. So I've also used that excuse as an excuse to always put realistic stuff of the world into the back burner, like having organized finances. That's for the, left brainers. I always had excuses, and I have to stop now and be honest with myself. And this is why I want this conversation, because I feel that we have, as humans, as a society, have evolved into these creatures that have so much emotional and any other potential in every other way, physical, mental, a lot of potential there. But we have limited ourselves to basic needs, basic existence in a way where as long as we have X, Y, and Z, and I'm not talking about full shelter, security, whatever we need, I'm talking about everything that's out there presenting itself as this shiny something. As long as we have that, and as long as we can show off that we are good and well off, we're solid. But the foundation of all of that is very shaky and unstable. When again, we have all this potential, but what's the word in English that I'm looking for? We satisfy ourselves with almost nothingness. So where am I going with this? Now that I have been for only a few months really in this financial world, because I'm sick of being broke. I'm sick of being all of the things that one is and one feels when you are financially unstable, when you are living paycheck to paycheck. In layman's terms, I have lived from paycheck to paycheck all of my life. And not because I didn't make money, but because I thought this is normal. So why have we normalized such behavior? And yes, we can excuse all of this by saying society, marketing, all the money it's put into marketing, and all the people that work onto marketing are so heavily that they psychologically attack certain things, and we then fall and crumble and we buy? Sure. I know what that means. But again, we have so much potential to see past this. If someone was able to psychologically dissect certain things and how humans function and tick to present us something that will make us buy, how can we, on the other side, not invest some knowledge and power and will into our brains and say, this, and this, and this, I don't need to be this, and this, and this, what they're claiming that I'll be if I purchase. And it's hard. I know. My $35,000 consumer debt are only 17 out of it were student loans. Everything else is consumer debt on nothing worth having. But I still fell for it. But now that I am just so sick and tired of being in debt, I started seeing things. Patterns, behaviors, and intentions of those that make us buy that are so easily to spot if you just want to see them. So before I say, oh, it's them who are making me purchase, I want to look inside and look at myself and say, but why are you falling for that? You claim to be smart. Why are you falling for that BS? You're not 9 years old. And then my brain goes into, oh, my parents didn't teach me better. They should have taught me, just like I'm teaching my son, not to fall for crap like that. But that's another excuse. I'm now excusing my behavior and blaming my parents for not teaching me. I don't want to do that anymore. I am responsible for my mess. No one held a gun to my head and made me go to work, and the second I get my paycheck, to spend it. No one made me do that. No one made me spend money that I didn't have before I even had the money in my checking account. Get it? It's me. So how do I put aside all of these effects, the outside determinators? What's the word I'm looking for? All the outside sources and influences. How do I put them aside and look inside myself? So I've only started working on my finances a few months ago and already have cleaned up so many terrible habits. I'm very proud of that. But what I've started noticing is the behavior of others around me. And I won't lie, sometimes I'm afraid that I'm analyzing too much. And I won't lie, sometimes I'm afraid that I'll just exhaust my energy on analyzing others and subconsciously blaming them for their actions, because I know I've done the same. That's why I am in this mess right now. But blaming them feels good, makes me feel empowered, like I'm doing the right thing now, look at me. And I'm not preaching, I'm not telling anyone about what I'm doing. But internally, I know that I'm judging and blaming, and that doesn't feel too good. But at the same time, it helps me understand what I have been doing and that these people are doing the same thing. The only difference is most of them are not aware that they're doing it because they normalized it. Let me give you a few examples that I've noticed. I work with an office with a bunch of different people who have different salaries, obviously, who have different tasks, who have different jobs. And there are people who make $20 an hour, maybe even $18 an hour, and there are people who make $350,000 for 3 days a week. And there are people who make $2 million annually, plus even, right? So there's a big range, and I fall somewhere in there, right? Doesn't matter. And I've noticed the people who make $18 or $20, $25 max an hour walk into the office every day without exception. Because now that I'm hyper analyzing, which is not amazing, but I am doing it, and I guess it's collecting data at some level, I've noticed that every morning they arrive at the office without exception with a drink, purchase the drink in their hand. I'm talking coffee, I'm talking some type of frappuccinos, and none of these drinks are probably under $5 at lowest. There's nothing you can buy for $5 these days in New York City, that's a fact. Maybe a bagel with cream cheese, that's $2.50 also. Anyway, So all of these people, without exception, walk into the office with $5+ of worth of drinks, right? That's a luxury, in my opinion, right? And sometimes I've done it too before this journey, but now that I'm seeing it, I realize that people really think that they need that, because our office has coffee and a coffee maker and 3 different types of creamers and 4 different types of coffees. We even have 2 different kinds of coffee machines. I don't drink coffee, so I don't know what they are, but I know that they both make coffee. What I'm trying to say here, I don't want to be stepping on you if you're the person doing this, but what I'm trying to say is, you are probably right now, if you financially struggle, you are probably me just a few months ago. You're probably me my whole life before this moment. And I looked at people like me now as snobs, as pretentious pricks, as people with money, who come from money, who just always had it, and they are judging me on my $8 coffee. Shut up. Sounds familiar? But I am you. Just kind of figure out how to get better, right? And my finances. So what I'm trying to say is, you can too, but know that it's not them that make you make stupid choices financially. It's not the system. Sometimes it is, but the system can suck as much as it wants. You can still choose to live below your means. Now, before you say, if anyone's even watching this, oh my God, before you say, oh, you don't know how it is to purchase groceries on credit card, come again. I know how it is to purchase and put groceries onto your credit card. I know how it is to just barely surviving. But somehow, now that I've stopped playing this mindless game of keeping up with the Joneses and also walking around New York City with a fancy coffee, latte, chai, whatever. Sorry if I'm offending you, because I feel like sometimes we have to be offended to shake ourselves to the core and like feel, whoa, I know, I'm sorry, maybe you're not that person. It helped me. Someone had to tell me, you're broke because your actions suck. Where I'm like, oh my God. And that is true, actually. But it took me a while to let that sink in and stop being a victim and always blaming others, but actually look inside and see that actually my actions suck. So before you say, I'm that snob, trust me, I'm you, just 3 months away from you right now, because I've done some work and I still have a lot of work to do. But as I'm going and as I'm on this journey and analyzing all of you out there, I cannot but notice how much money we spend on on junk that is not necessary. Junk, left and right. I went the other day through all the transactions from since I had that card, since I got it. 98% on that card was on junk. A few groceries from the Amazon Fresh, and the rest was junk. Sounds familiar? So before you blame everyone else, look inside. Before you buy that coffee and that giant latte, maybe ask yourself if you can do something that will put you in a different spot. It won't happen tomorrow, but trust me, 5 coffees in a row, it will when you have $50 saved. I don't want this to sound preachy because I hated people like this, but I feel like what I'm saying right now seeps into other aspects of our life. I see this pattern of behavior in every possible aspect of people's lives, my life too. You know, if I suck with finances, most likely I suck a little in my relationships too, because I have the same behavior, you know? I borrow time, borrow attention, I don't fully commit to anything, and I'm spread thin over all the aspects of my relationships, never nowhere fully committed and present. Same like with my finances. Buy everything, have money for nothing, plan this with money you don't have, purchase this with money you don't have, owe this card, owe this person. No, I never owed money to people, but banks, to this bank, that bank. That's another thing. I know that debt is bad, and I've normalized it so much with banks and institutions, but would never borrow money from a friend or any person. That's a no. This is how much we as a society, and I know many people who think this way, but this is how much we as a society have normalized debt. Oh, but banks. Same evil, just different name. And interest difference, your friend might give you just money and say, hey, pay me back when you can with no interest, but the bank will hit you with an interest. Either way, it's debt. So this behavior seeps into many aspects of your life. I work with people, as I just mentioned, that have different ranges of salaries, right? Those same people that walk into the office every morning with a chai latte, coffee, whatever. Although we have coffee at work, they also shop for luxury cars. They also constantly talk about shopping, and number one topic in their language is Black Friday and Amazon Prime Day or whatever. How? Why the urge to splurge so much? And I'm really asking for myself too. Why did I have such an urge to spend so much money on garbage? How did I manage to spend $13,000 on junk from Amazon? I would slap myself right now in the face. Why did I make such a dumb decision when I'm generally not a dumb person? I'm not the most intelligent human in the world, neither are you. But, I've met dumb people. But financially, I am dumb. Until now, where I'm realizing it doesn't take much knowledge or effort. It's really 20% head knowledge and 80% behavior. It is that coffee in the morning. Same people I mentioned that are shopping for cars and houses that they cannot afford on $20 an hour and probably tons of consumer debt, because I recognize myself in them. They're not worse than me, or I'm not better than them. It's just the little habit tweaks that I did and they didn't. That's why I recognize myself in them. That's what I did not that long ago. Those same people buy lunches almost every single day. I mean, you can't tell me that it's cheaper to buy food than spending one Sunday and meal prepping. I know how terrible it is to stand in the kitchen for 5 hours on a Sunday to meal prep, but yet it's possible. I've done it. And I've been on the other side too. I've spent mindlessly on lunches. So how did we get here? How did we get so stupid? Because we are the same people that complain about the system. The system's fault. It's the system. It's the system doesn't want us to succeed. But you're supporting that system by going and spending. You're supporting those same institutions, those same companies that you hate and think they're, H&M is making money in Vietnam and the kids are making 5 cents a week. Yeah. But you're supporting that company. You're buying clothes there every day, however often, or whatever store, you name it. So walk your talk or change something. I'll finish here. All I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to ask a question. How did we get here? How did we allow ourselves to become so desensitized and ready to blame? Someone else's fault, not me. No. I urge you to look inside. I urge you to put everything you spend on a budget just a few times to get that initial shock, because that helped me. Oh boy, did it help me. And even if you think that you're not a big spender, which I thought I'm not, again, $13,000 in Amazon Prime, I somehow justified my purchases on Amazon Prime as necessities. Somehow, now that I'm budgeting, I still make the same money. I cut out the junk, focusing on paying off debt. And it's hard, it hurts. Matter of fact, tomorrow I make a payment of $1,500 just to one card. And then I have a few more payments this month. It hurts because I made that money in a hard way. But I know there is hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Otherwise, what's the option? So I urge you to look inside and don't blame everyone else for your misfortune and your misery and whatever you're feeling. Because trust me, I've been there. Hi, Homer. I've lived on minimum wage. I've been abused in the market and been paid less than anyone else was making. I've been putting groceries on my credit card. I've been in a position where I was not able to afford rent or food. You name it. And I know people who have been or are in 3 times worse situation than I am. Somehow they managed out. But guess what they had to do? They had to change drastically. They had to change behaviors drastically. When someone says, oh, let's go for beer, let's go for dinner, they had to say, nope, not tonight. And buddy, trust me, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. But if you want to live comfortably going forward, you have to live uncomfortably for a certain amount of time to get out of the mess. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you stayed till the end. This is a long rant, but it had to come out. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. If I have the need to yell again, I'll find you.